Hey guys, it's Danny. Today I'm going to show you how I put together this bonsai aquascape that looks very whimsical, and I've always wanted to make such a scape. The idea of a tree in an aquarium as a scape is a very old idea, which I believe was first done by Felipe Oliveira. And guess what? I was around in the hobby when that happened in 2008 or something like that. 15 years ago almost. So ever since then, everybody has tried this aquascape because it is such a beautiful idea, and there are many iterations of it if you search on the internet. But see, I never made a bonsai aquascape, and I've always wanted to try it. So here is my tree aquascape with a bit of a twist to it because yeah, I'm more of a fantasy scapes type of a person. However, this is not an original idea. Using red plants in a tree has been done before, and I have been inspired by quite a few other people. I will link you down below to another video that uses a very similar technique. That's where I got my inspiration for this video, but with that said, let's just start, shall we? So the tank is an approximately 40 liters or 10-gallon tank, and the piece of wood I bought as it is from Amazon. I'll link it to it down below. First off, we need to weigh down this piece of wood because it floats. So what I like to do is glue it to a heavy rock. I'm using cotton buds that I place wherever the wood touches the rock, and then I use liquid super glue directly on the cotton. This will create a very strong bond, and super glue is not toxic or harmful to fish, shrimp, or even plants. Many aquascapers use it with great success. I have used it many times, so I know it's absolutely fine. And in contact with water, it hardens and becomes like an adhesive paste. For the substrate, of course, I'm using my Tropica aquarium soil that I really like. I'm sure there are other good soils on the market, but it is easily available in my area, so I'm sticking with it. However, there is a twist. I am capping it with just plain quartz gravel that is light colored. The Tropica aqua soil doesn't need capping, but since it's dark and I wanted a light substrate, it's absolutely fine to cap it. It will not disturb the nutrients. I'm arranging my bonsai, let's call it like that, in the tank, and I'm trying as best as possible to mask that rock with all of the substrates that I'm going to be using. Gravel typically needs to be rinsed very well, and this one is no exception. Otherwise, the water will be cloudy for days. So I'm trying to create an even layer on top of the aqua soil, but as you can see, I have a bit of a slope. It is quite higher in the back. This gives a little bit of depth to the overall look of the tank. And I think it looks pretty good. The only thing that I'm concerned about is how light this wood is, but I do believe it is spider root or something related, so theoretically in water it should darken a bit. We'll see about that. Time to plant. First off, I'm gonna start with some cryptocorynes. This is the Pechi. These plants can be used in the foreground as well, but since my tank is rather small, placing this in the middle as more of a taller plant fits in this particular scape. Then I'm using Pogostemon Helferi, which I will place in front of the crypt since it's not gonna grow as tall. I love Pogostemon because it absolutely looks like a bush. It has a rosette shape to it and the leaves are wavy. By the way, plants need to stay wet, so it's a good idea to mist them from time to time whenever they start to dry out. Next, I'm going with Rotella Indica Bonsai. This is a type of Rotella which doesn't really elongate its leaves all that much, and it tends to stay rather small. Next up, Nomafila Stricta Bonsai. Never worked with this one. I'm hoping it's not gonna grow very big. So I'm doing some rearranging here. I'm gonna place this particular plant to the left of the tree. Then Staragini repens. This one again doesn't grow very tall, so I'm gonna put it around the tree trunks. Next, Alternanthera Reiniki Mini. This is a great mini red plant, and I think it will look like we have some sprouts next to our bonsai or things of the sorts. It doesn't have to be realistic. I'm all about fantasy scapes. Next up, Eriocalon Vietnam. Again, never worked with this one, but it looks really nice, and typically you'd use this foreground or mid-ground area, but since I have a small tank and I don't want any plant to be taller than my bonsai, I'm going to plant it in the back and I hope it will imitate some sort of grasses. Next up is the Philandra. I'm attaching this one with super glue to rocks because I want to put it at the base of the trunk, and I would rather not put super glue on the actual tree. This is an epiphyte plant. It should not be planted, so that's why I'm attaching it to the little rocks and just sitting it on the soil. Next up, Acicularis Mini. First time I'm pronouncing this in English, I think. This definitely will be in the foreground because it stays really small and it spreads. It will give the impression of grass. One of these pots is enough. Actually, I got a whole lot of it left over. Next up, Acicularis Mini coin. I got this on a whim. Never saw it before. It's a limited edition, so I just got a few. Again, I'm attaching it to little rocks and I'm placing it at the base of my tree. I think this is the tiniest Acicularis I've ever seen. Guess what? It's time to add the water, and this will take a little bit, but see, I optimized. I'm using a hose connected to the sink, which does make things a lot easier, especially with maintenance, especially with the daily water changes that await for us in the first week. Next up, Rotella Vietnam Hra. This will be, let's say, the canopy of my bonsai. As I was saying, it does not need to look realistic, but it's very whimsical. So I simply woven it, is that the word? Through the branches of my bonsai tree. I did not tie it. In other tutorials, you'll see people making bunches or tying it or attaching it with super glue. I managed to get away just sticking it in the branches. And there you go. This is how the scape looks like in the first day. And it looks so whimsical. I really, really love it. And here we are. This is 1 week later, and this is how the tank looks like. And I have to say, I'm very, very happy with it. The plants have already started to grow and my tree is starting to slowly take shape. It's gonna take a little while until I create a dense canopy. That will definitely come with trimming. Whenever we cut stem plants, 2 more shoots will start to sprout from the place we cut. And that will obviously bushen up a little bit the situation. So far though, I'm very, very happy with everything. At this point, I will stop the daily water changes and switch to a regimen of every other day water change. And after a month, pretty much, I should be able to go to a schedule of weekly water changes. I have not added any animals just yet, although you can see the wood already has that slime or mucus stuff on it. That is absolutely fine. Spider wood typically does that. And in my experience, it really isn't anything to be scared of. I know some people have had issues with that slime and plants. I have never experienced any melt or anything with that slime. You can see my Rotella is doing just fine. And also the animals really love to eat that stuff. So the next thing I will do is add some amano shrimps or nearite snails. I'm not sure if I'm gonna add Acicularis to this tank. I wanna keep stocking pretty low because I do have that internal filter, and the more animals I put in there, the more frequent I need to clean it. So if I can get away with not having to clean it all that often, you know, I will do that. But I think 4 amano shrimps will do the job. They will clean that tree or those branches of mucus. I've tried scraping it with a toothbrush as well, but I didn't do a very good job because it's a very intricate piece of wood and I'm afraid I'm going to break a branch or something. It is pretty fragile, so I'm gonna let the animals enjoy that little slime, which I do believe it's an accumulation of bacteria, biofilm, things that shrimp actually do enjoy eating. So far, I have not added any fertilizer. I just left the soil do the job. I did have a spike in ammonia as well, not very big, just enough to not have animals inside this tank. But for the past 3 to 4 days, I'm pretty good. There's no more ammonia, very, very little nitrate, actually almost nothing at all. So I do believe the tank is fully cycled and can hold some animals. But I will start slow with the shrimps. Anyway, the stocking will be for a different video. Maintenance, again, will be a different video, but for now, I think we are pretty good. And I really, really do like the scape. It looks very magical. At some point I was thinking maybe it's a little too much red there in the canopy. It's so easy to just give up the Rotella. I'm just gonna pull every individual strand as best as possible and just place it in another tank. And I was thinking in the future, if somehow I get sick of all that redness, although right now I'm not, I love it, but if I ever do, I can switch the Rotella for Philandra or another green plant. I can definitely switch it up in the future. I don't see how it's gonna be hard to remove the Rotella, but so far I do enjoy it. I cannot wait for those plants to start to take over the front side as well. You can see the grass didn't grow that much in a week, although everything else, do you see there? Even the Alternanthera looks exquisite. I love it. So I will keep you up to date. Enough blabbing. Hope you've enjoyed this aquascape. I don't know if it's gonna be a tutorial or whatever. It's how I did the bonsai, and I'll keep you up to date. Stay tuned for more aquarium videos because I have some other projects on the way. So do subscribe to my channel if you're interested in aquatic gardening as well as houseplants and orchids and all of that stuff. Anything plants, pretty much. And with that said, thank you so much for hanging out with me today and giving me your time. I hope you've enjoyed yourself, and I'll see you next time. Bye!